San Francisco has gone 4-0 while averaging over 30 points per game. The Niners QB posted season best in QBR, completion rate, and yards per attempts in Sunday's win over Tennessee. Dan, how does Brock Purdy change the way the 49ers look on offense?
You're mad.
I know, I looked at the order and I just thought you were going ahead of me.
Yeah, because, you guys share the same brain. But Mac Jones was pretty good, right? And people were like, man, is
Mac Jones was great.
Yeah,
I think the thing that Brock does that Mac can't do, and really we've talked about this, no one for Kyle ever has, is go above the X's and O's. Make plays out of structure. When the defense wins the rep, continue to find a way for your offense to win the rep. And so those broken plays. Kyle Shanahan is such an elite coach that he's more often than not going to find people open, find a way for you to create chunk plays. But Brock Purdy sometimes does that because, well, the defense had the perfect call on and we missed the block, and still the play can be successful. And I think that's one of the things that you lose sight of. When he started the season a little bit shaky, Mac stepped in. Mac was great. That doesn't take anything away from Mac, but it is another example, a reminder of just the different style that Brock brings to this offense.
Yeah, that willingness to push the ball down the field is really important because Christian McCaffrey commands so much attention underneath as a pass catcher. There's opportunities for receivers. The other thing that jumped out watching this last week against admittedly a bad Tennessee Titans defense is the Niners pass catchers, as injured as this team has been, and on defense, that's a whole other story. They're starting to kind of get hot at the right time, and I know Pearsall just got hurt. I thought he was excellent in this game. You saw he's not a burner, but his ability to separate at the top of his routes and his physicality to win downfield is really important because it complements what Dan was describing with Brock Purdy, which is he will push the ball downfield. He will make plays outside of structure. And so when I think about this Niners team down the stretch and they kind of are like quietly sneaking into the playoffs, the offense to me is the reason why I think they can win games against the better teams in the NFL.
It's fascinating. You're so right. We haven't talked about them that much. They are kind of quietly at 10-4 here. They're sitting near the top of the NFC. They've dealt with all the injuries that Mina's referencing there. How much credit does Kyle Shanahan deserve for orchestrating this up until this point?
Got to be the lead for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, this team has lost 4 of their 5 best players for the majority of the season. As far as salary cap wise, they've been decimated by injuries. Most every team that would have lost their best pass rusher, their best inside linebacker, one of the best in football, just for putting into context. Now, Trent hasn't missed a game, and that's been a huge part to the point of Mina, the offense, but best pass rusher, best linebacker, certainly their best tight end and one of the best in football for a third of the season. Brendan Ayuk, the guy they paid a gajillion bucks to, hasn't played. And so the fact that they are 10-4, how? It has to do with coaching. Kyle's been unbelievable. McCaffrey's been an MVP candidate. I continue to say how Kyle Juszczyk is as important when it comes to the functionality of your offense as anybody. But Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan have been sensational this season. I think it's their best coaching job as a duo.
Yeah, people can point to the schedule, but they held their own against the Rams, Mac Jones, the Seahawks at the beginning of the season. We'll see how that goes again. As far as spinning this forward, I said that the offense makes me think they can compete with anyone. They're not rushing the passer enough, I think, to hang with the top teams in the NFL because of the injuries, obviously. Otherwise, and Indianapolis, they've got that game on Monday. I think they'll be able to run on them to some extent. But the offense is good enough for this team to be competitive. Just the defense is.
Yeah, it's almost like can they outscore? If they get into the playoffs, and it feels like they're going to get into the playoffs now. Can they outscore a Los Angeles Rams? Can they outscore a Tampa if Tampa wins their division? They can, but they're definitely going to have to find some way to get a stop on defense.
Yeah, they've gone 4-0, averaging over 30 points per game. That'll do it if they can keep that track up. That was against different teams, but still.
But that with McCaffrey, Juszczyk, Kittle, Pearsall healthy, the quarterback, the offensive line is back to being a very top-end unit as well.
Brock was unpressured in this game.
Yeah. You mentioned Monday night. We will see Brock Purdy and the 49ers on Monday Night Football. They head to Indianapolis for a matchup with Phillip Rivers and the Colts, 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN. ESPN Deportes, Disney Plus, and the ESPN app. Coverage kicks off with us. NFL Live at 3 Eastern continues with the Monday Night Countdown crew. That comes your way at 6. That's less than a week away. All right, still ahead. Seattle and LA facing off for a best in the West Thursday night. Can the Seahawks hang with Stafford and the Rams in a shootout? One of us thinks everything depends on the run game. Find out a little bit more about that next, right here on NFL Live. We'll be right back. Oh, look at this, Mina. This was when I tried to. So I'm sneaking in. I'm like, oh, okay, here's my little spot. I wanted to stay out. I don't like to be in the shot, but I was told to.
You did it. Oh, no. You should have tapped my shoulder. I would have screamed on camera.
I know. I should have done the thing where you tap the shoulder.
Where did you think you were going?
What do you mean, me?
Yeah, like why
He's the host of our show.
I was just trying to get back in to like wrap it up, you know, and then I couldn't. I was boxed out. She was too dialed in.
You said you too little for the paint.
Much like him, I do not have spatial awareness. 4x1 formations or trips, so that Bo didn't have to pause or go through full field reads often. It felt like Peyton was giving him the correct answers. And again, credit to Bo. He was incredibly accurate from inside the pocket, throwing downfield in a way that he also hasn't been this season. But I think from a game plan perspective, it felt like for Jeff Hafley's very zone-centric defense, he gave him all the right answers.
Yeah, he went from frantic and hurried to fast and clean. And that's kind of the thing that frantic and hurried was, for some moments this year, the feet were all over the place. We've seen him run in the pocket and a little bit of doubt in there. And in this game, it was fast and clean. And I think one of the reasons why is their style of how lacking a huddle was a big deal. So this is a dagger concept. He's going to read really high to low versus that zone defense Mina's talking about. The shallow wants to sit down in zone. Don't run to where the defenders are. Right when that guy's sitting down, that ball comes out. You might think if it's only a 7-yard completion, that's a big deal. This is a spot route. A little 5-yard sit and the back to the flat. Right now, there's the vacancy to Sutton. There's that zone that Mito was referencing. Ball comes out right now. It allows you to get to that first down. Another version of spot this time has 3 people involved in it. This ball is out before that receiver puts his left foot into the goal line, before that defender can collapse, and the placement is there on that right shoulder. And then that really like motion to a hitch route. This ball's going to come out of Bo's hands before the receiver's ready for it. He's still running his route. Once again, it's zone defense. And when you rewatch the game, and that's the overwhelming thing, it's like, okay, why? Look how much they went no huddle this game. I think the no huddle was a huge deal of it. Their no huddle usage. They ran it 13 times most of the season. They ran it for 111 yards most of the season and 13.5 plus yards per attempt most of the season. I think the no huddle almost calmed him down to play way less frantic and allowed the ball to come out a little bit quicker.
That's something you had observed earlier in the season, too.
Right.
When they would go no huddle, oh, why are they so good in these fourth quarter comebacks? So it's interesting to see that pay off. The other thing I'll say this, I had my concerns about Bo Nix. I also had concerns about the Denver pass catchers outside of Cortland Sutton. They were amazing in this game. Going back and watching some
Franklin's really stepped up,
Franklin is becoming like a legit number 2. Sutton was unbelievable in this game. I think he's kind of overlooked sometimes in terms of being like one of the true great X receivers. So when we think about this Broncos team and on a potential Super Bowl run, they stepped up as well.
It's just funny. I would think most quarterbacks, when they go no huddle, would play a little bit more sped up.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Like, why would he be more comfortable that way? Is it because just everybody knows the calls more?
Yeah,
He's
I
not
think
communicating them.
Young kid coming from college, so a little bit more of what they're accustomed to. When you play no huddle, you'll get a little bit more of vanilla. I don't want to say vanilla defense, but defenses can't necessarily get overly exotic because they can't necessarily get their calls in.
It's a weapon.
It's a clear indication of when we're in this formation, they're going to get into this coverage. If you just saw this coverage, you're probably going to get that coverage again. So it's cutting the fat off of plays.
Interesting. Okay, so that's one quarterback, a young guy who had